just because I had just a bit of a jarring experience here. I went into the bank. I was trying to change my name on my account, which apparently I can't do because my ex and I still have a joint account, so my ex needs to be present so I can change my name and it reflects on both accounts. Regardless of that, the girl who was doing it had a question, and she calls her coworker over like, well, he's trying to change his name on his account, and I'm like, she kind of like looks at me a little bit and is like, oh, I'm sorry, and just like writes it off. But like, I'm just like, you read both names. Like, she had both my IDs and my legal name change paperwork in front of her. So, you know what my name's going to. Number 2, I look and sound like this. I know I'm 6 feet tall, but girl, come on. I'm wearing a dress. I am wearing a dress. I am wearing makeup. I'm wearing eyeliner. And
bitch, I can't even look at you directly in the eyes through the screen. I am one that often says Delulu is in fact the Salulu. You got to be delusional about your dreams and your goals, baby. But that's a different level. It truly is. You look like someone whose wife is missing. You look like Jeffree Star with a bath salts problem. And perhaps her misgendering you is just a result of her being so shook by your offensive presence that any word just came out. I mean, I would have just started word vomiting. Just get me out of this situation, especially considering I can smell the rotten breath from here. All that energy you allocated towards changing the color of your hair, we're going to allocate just a little bit of it to making your teeth a different color than yellow. Step 1 to not having to endure uncomfortable social interactions is not walking into it with your mouth looking like that. Because once you address your overall threatening aura and or aroma, you might have different outcomes, and you might find that you're avoiding awkward social interactions. Because for me, if you walked up in my space, I might have used any kind of word. Moving on.
All the pretty girls want this.
Interesting word. Pretty. Gotta elevate. I'm trying. It's just like, my God. It would be like me making a TikTok talking about ugly bitches talk like this. It's like, it's not hitting because I'm not ugly. That's that literal shit, right? That's me on the spectrum. That's the autism. I'm expecting the lyrics to literally match her when quite clearly it's not suitable. It's not a suitable word to use in reference to this. You're a sick bitch, and here's why you're a sick bitch. You are, just like the caption says, I agree with it, getting euphoria over this, getting so lit, so excited over confusing these kids. Why these people continue to get hired, I really don't know. You would think that people would, I feel like the theme of this episode has been like people waking up to certain things. School boards. Wake up. If she looks like this, don't hire her. That's that groomer shit, literally. It doesn't always have to be diddlery. This woman might not be a diddler at all, but she's still a demon. And she's still demented. And she's still grooming in another way, which is teaching kids false information about gender. And it's fucking sick because it's compensating for the fact that she's confused about her own shit. And she's putting that shit, this is the entire, so many dots connecting. This is the entire leftist ideology. Responsibility, someone else take it. She's doing it to kids. I'm confused about my shit. Kids have to be. I look like a man. The server's wrong. I look like a woman. The Taco Bell employee's wrong. Just saying. And again, that's called love, letting you know that, because that might be crucial information for you to hear, Miss Vomit Hair. It might be crucial, Miss Puke, for you to hear that this has all just been a psyop you created in your own mind, because then you might actually be able to escape it. You created the problem. It's not something that came onto you, which means you can probably fix it, right? Starting with that hair. Oh my God. This is, ooh.
My name is Bitch Nasty. My pronouns are he, him, and my name actually comes from a person yelling it to me on the street.
Again, common theme here. We're going with the theme. These people are seen as the confident, strong, inspirational, brave people in society, and her self-esteem, self-worth, self-concept, self-image is so depleted that she had someone harass her on the street, call her a nasty bitch, and she took it on as a name and then grew a beard. So the fun dance music behind her is trying to paint a picture that this is anything but a woman retelling her trauma. But it's all over you, babe. All of that is trauma. That beard is trauma. That mustache is trauma. And that disgusting name is trauma. My name's Bitch Nasty because some horrible person yelled at me on the street. Wow. And again, because we always have to bring it back to this point. I'm trans. Y'all think that's trans? Do you want to fight? Like, that's offensive to me for you to ever conflate me with Bitch Nasty. Because I'm just a nasty bitch. I'm not Bitch Nasty. Oh my God. I'm really not. But I will say this, Bitch Nasty. Your soul is compromised. And you're a nasty bitch. And you got to work on that. Next.
People are really out here saying that trans Chuchi is the inferior product. I'm sorry. We have the designer, expensive, bougie coochie. Like, you're telling me if someone says, would you like this free paper bag that came with my groceries? Or would you like this $35,000 bag? You're taking the designer Birkin, babe. Like, seriously, you're just mad because trans girls don't want to put trash like you in our designer bags.
Oh my God. What? That's the most misogynist, anti-woman thing I've heard since yesterday.
Since yesterday. No, really, this is what I don't like. It's like, and I said this during our debate, and you'll see it on No Jumper. It's like, I feel like that if you want to transition to become a woman, step one should be learning how to respect women.
Thank you.
And I don't like how, transition, oftentimes people have this, they feel like they have to put biological women down to validate their own womanhood. It's like, if you have to feel bigger about yourself by putting other people down, what does that say about you?
It means that you're not comfortable in your own space. And the fact that I've seen other trans women say that our vaginas are better than real, or not that you say real or whatever vaginas. And I'm just like, well, why? What is the competition here? Why are you in competition?
There shouldn't be competition.
No.
And also, if we want to just talk about the logistics of it, is it really superior? I don't think so.
Well, it's different because I've had actual first-hand experience sexually with it. I have. And it's different.
Okay.
It's different. It's
I know a
totally
lot of
different.
them don't even self-lubricate.
No, they don't.
So
It's
how is that
completely different?
How is that superior?
And actually, the person that I had this experience with said that she wished that she didn't do that. And that her sex drive went down and that she doesn't feel comfortable with it. It doesn't feel like anything. And she was just actually wished that she didn't do it. And that's my experience with it.
So I don't think a superior product comes with all these health consequences and like possible like side effects. It's
But
like,
the fact that you have to say that says everything.
oh, I know.
I know that you're actually trying to make something that isn't really what you wanted it to be, as if it was what you wanted it to be.
Right. Well, that's that insecurity.
That's right.
Right. And but then they'll say that we're the insecure ones and that we're self-hating.
Oh, no,
we don't have to put down biological men and women to be ourselves.
We wouldn't.
Imagine if you had to be like, I'm more of a man than it's like,
I would be embarrassed.
Like,
Stop.
right. If I sat up here and be like, trans bitches are better, then it's like, you know what? Maybe to some people who are attracted to that,
That's right.
absolutely.
That's
but to
right.
say that as an absolute is kind of like,
No.
calm down. And why do they always have pink hair? I don't know. Can we take back colored hair? Because it used to be cool. I used to
be
live it.
cool.
I used to have
That's
pink
right.
hair.
That's right. Now you can't have it anymore.
I would never be caught up with pink hair now because I feel like people would think I'm a communist.
This is Danny Lalanders, a non-binary game developer for EA, specifically the Marvel games, which y'all know, Marvel's pretty woked out now. Were they always woked out? I don't think so, right? They just hopped on the train to hell. So she says she doesn't hire white people because they're unsafe and it's hard to work with them, and only hires people of color. Let's listen to her babble.
I have a team of 21 right now for Validate. It's a pretty big team. It's a crazy big team. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something may be okay, but it was really a microaggression. And no one wants to deal with that while they're trying to make a game that they love.
Who, I was going to say raised this bitch, but who created this bitch? Because this is the type of person made in a lab. How are you a real person? It's unsafe around white people because they might commit a microaggression, which is the funniest word because if it's so small that you have to refer to it as micro, right? Maybe it's not worth running your mouth about. And baby, you're not non-binary, you're nonsensical. You make no sense. You make sense to racists, right? So you're hiring other people who feel the same as you, like they don't want to see a certain race in the room. So no one's ever going to call you on your BS, but hi. My name is Blaire White. You're a moron. Just so you know. I know none of your, woked out commie comrades would ever tell you that, but you're the problem. I would venture to guess that whatever micro, right, aggression that any white people, make the horrible mistake of committing around you is probably nothing in comparison to the macro aggression, the aggression of saying that you're not going to hire people of a certain race. And why y'all are so sick in the head that this kind of stuff just flies under the radar, that people can just say this and there's never any consequences because of the color of her skin. I just don't understand. See, this is the problem with progressivism, is that there's never any moment where you recognize when progress has been made. You never get to the finish line. At what point, and put it in the comments, I'm just curious, at what point do you think it's appropriate to say, wow, we really made all the progress? So now maybe we don't have to accept racial hatred at all, regardless of who it's aimed at. I don't understand. And y'all can make fun of this issue of white people saying that they're not getting hired because they're white. It's real. Sorry to be the bearer of real news, right? The shit that's really going on. But living in LA, I knew many white people that were so qualified and would go just years not getting a job, to the point where I knew a lot of white people that would fake or write down that they are mixed with certain races or they are, LGBT of some sort. White people I knew in LA were putting down, whether they were or weren't, that they were bisexual or queer or non-binary, even though they weren't, just because they wouldn't get jobs otherwise. And everyone I know who did that, they would end up getting a job rather quick. With a swiftness, right? So it's an issue, and I know y'all just love having your head in the dirt, and so when there's an issue, right, you're gonna be 10 years late to it. And maybe that's just my curse, right? I just pick up on things soon, and I'm not even bragging. It's I don't like that I pick up on things 10 years before other people, because it's not exactly the easiest life. You be getting discounted, people act like you're crazy, Blaire White's a Nazi. It's I was getting called a Nazi for shit I was saying in 2016, and now it's mainstream, everyone's talking like that. I hate y'all. And in a world that makes any sense, this non-binary, nonsensical individual would be investigated for this open racism, right? And admitting that they are discriminating in their hiring practices, but she won't. She won't. She's probably going to get a raise. I want to die. Sometimes I feel like I really did die. I was thinking about this the other night when I was a little bit, right? What if I died? What if we all died? We're literally in purgatory right now. Because surely that 2012 shit must have been real. We've been dead since 2012, babe. Because this cannot be real life. Y'all cannot be this fucking nasty. And one thing about it, I know I want to talk as a tranny, but I am so glad that I have felt the feeling of getting cracked in my face as a kid. Not promoting that. Not promoting that towards this individual. However, let's just say if in a different timeline, this individual had ever felt what it's like to have someone hit you in the face, you know, as a child or whatever, talking about, you know, fights in school, whatever. I don't think this is how he would end up. If you get it, you get it. When you know, you know.
Seeing as melanin deficient Europeans created whiteness in order to enslave Africans and commit wholesale genocide, yeah, whiteness needs to end.
And you know, with that beard and that hair color, you should take him seriously. You know, setting aside the fact that you have the audacity to publicly endorse a race ending, right? Setting that aside for just one moment, if we can, question, where exactly would that leave you, sir? Because, you know, the sickly yellow tone to your skin color is not masking the Caucasianness. Listen, there are certain things that feel redundant to say, but clearly are so necessary. So it's gonna sound like I'm trying to introduce like 1 + 1 to you for the first time, or your colors, or, you know, your basic addition. But clearly this is needed. Ask yourself why there is only one group that you can publicly go on social media, advocate for the end of, and not have your life dismantled because of it. I mean, you would never catch anyone up on camera. I mean, you would, but they'd be taken down instantly, saying that Asianness needs to end, Blackness needs to end, Mexicanness needs to end. Like, what are you talking about? Psycho? Psychopath? Call me crazy. But I feel like there may be a little bit of an issue with the fact that, you know, our culture is firmly against racism, with a caveat. Oh no, we can't do that because y'all are actually letting your hate out that exists in you, that you don't have a single other group to unleash it on. Because every other group is off limits currently. I wish they had the same level of hatred for pedophiles as they do white people. I mean, wow. When's the last time you saw someone like this speaking up on the danger of pedophiles in the country? It's just whiteness, right? Okay. You already see. Let's see what this young thing has to say.
I hate when people say that wheelchairs are only for people who need them. Because when they say that, what they mean is wheelchair users are for people who are paralyzed. But not everyone who is a wheelchair user, who uses a wheelchair, who needs a wheelchair, is paralyzed. Because if you're gonna do away with wheelchairs for anyone who has the physical ability to stand for like a couple seconds, I think we should do away with strollers. Because toddlers can stand. They can walk pretty far actually. If you hold their hand, they can get around fine. You know why we use strollers? Because we do need them.
Just lose weight, girl. Like, just do that. Like, in the time it took you to record this 2-minute TikTok, you could have done like 100 push-ups. Wild. And people sometimes get on me because it's like, Blaire, why are you being so mean to like the fat positive, you know, TikTokers or whatever? But it's like, I'm sorry, I see so much parallel with like the trans community and trans influencers on TikTok and like this, in the sense of y'all are really living in an alternate reality. You are comparing toddlers and strollers to your own inability to walk on your own without a wheelchair because you have gluttoned yourself, you have eaten yourself to such a state that your body cannot even support your weight walking around, and you will still sit up on camera talking about fat is beautiful. That ain't beauty. You know, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but sometimes the vote is unanimous. And I'm not saying you're not beautiful on the inside. I'm not saying you don't have nice skin, beautiful face, whatever, but that body is going to fail. Sounds like it's already failing that you can't even walk on your own. And I know that my delivery is, oh wow, Blaire White is being a cunt. And that's just because I am. But also, I do have a lot of empathy for people like this because, like I've said before, whenever I am depressed, going through it, that's when I start losing control of my body. If you haven't noticed, I'm snatching down right now because I'm in a better place than I was a few weeks ago. Y'all saw the thickness. And she's sucking back in because she's happier. And I do want that for this woman, you know. No hate to her. It's just like, lose weight, you know. Your weight is not the world's problem. You know, the fact that you even have it within you to be like, what do I want to complain about today on the internet? People that don't like that I use a wheelchair. You shouldn't like that you use a wheelchair, girl. You should hate it. You should resent it. You should use it as motivation to get your life together. But instead, you're going to make these little videos on TikTok and you're going to have this lived out comment section that's like, yes, queen. Slay. Fat is beautiful. I bet you can still catch a dick though. Yeah, we know. Anyone can catch a dick. Anyone can catch a dick. Literally anyone of any group can go out, find a dick, suck it, fuck it, ride it. Because that's what men do. They put their dick in anything. It's not really a flex to say, because that's one of their big talking points. People say I'm fat, but I could still catch a dick. Baby, there's a reason why there's a certain amount of gerbils found up men's asses every year in hospitals, because men are gross and men are disgusting and men will fuck anything. You leave a pie on the counter and a man may or may not put his dick in it. Right? So is it a flex that you can catch a dick? Not really. It's a flex when you're turning down dicks.
Disgusting. I just went through the Taco Bell drive-thru because I'm a whore for Taco Bell. And do you know how they greeted me? They said, "Hello, ma'am." And then after handing me my food, said, "Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day." Bitch, what about me says ma'am? I have a fucking red mullet.
Wow, not the red mullet. Sis. And I'm just being real. Sis. If you really wanted to know and answer that question, what about me is giving she, you know, you have a very minimal amount of yourself on camera here, right? It's a very tight shot. It's just here up. Your breasts aren't even in frame, right? And yet, every single aspect is giving she, her. So, you know, that might be the answer. All the things, actually. And we need to get back to, just like I was telling this bitch who was crying in the last one, that I believe in her. And I said it quite angrily, right? That communicates that you can care about someone and try to give them good advice and still sound like a bitch, right? I'm always going to sound like a bitch giving people advice when I care. We got to bring back, and the trans community used to have this, tough love. We actually used to have it. They told you when you looked a mess, and they were actually quite rude about it and quite mean. They would tell you, bitch, you look clocky as shit. Do not go out in that. No. If you ask them what part of me gives off man, they will read you down boots. One by one. You're balding. You have no tits. You have no hips. Like, they would read you. And that can be seen as toxic, and it is. But there's a certain level of toxicity in giving love and good advice that actually is healthy. See, it's this weirdo shit where y'all don't tell people the truth that leads little girls like this to go into Taco Bell with that voice and that red mullet and thinking that is enough to suffice and make her pass as a man. Whereas if she had a trans person in her life giving her the real, they would say, bitch, you sound like Dory the fish. The red mullet, a mullet's actually a unisex haircut. So maybe if you're really serious about this being a man thing, you wouldn't rest at that comfortable place of unisex haircut. Maybe just go straight to man haircut, right? I mean, God. Not to mention you're bitching about it on camera in a very feminine way. Oh my God. It's giving she, her. And that's called love, to tell you that. See, these bitches in your life, these fake ass trans people in your life, or anyone in your life who's telling you, Yeah, that Taco Bell employee. He was wrong. You totally give, man. They don't like you like that. They don't like you enough to tell you you're giving she her. They don't care. I care.
And you know what? I suck for cock. Alright? I suck for cock.
Wait, okay. I don't see fur. When I do see furries, I see someone with ears. This is apparently a trans person in a wheelchair yelling, I suck for cocks. Okay. Was that an elephant? What the fuck is this?
You attacked a disabled trans people person. You piece of you stink man. Come and get your
He's chasing after him.
Come and get me.
What the fuck was that? If this is the kind of stuff that goes down at furry conventions, I low-key want to be a furry because it was lit. Holy shit.
Everything I say about gender is influenced by my whiteness, which is obvious, but there's an interesting...
I'm sorry, it's just like he's giving gay Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo? Here. Freshly home from the gay pride parade.
Second part to this. The rejections of gender and gender roles that I create and embody will still come from my whiteness, those acceptable to my constructions of self as a white person. I will likely uphold and encourage white beauty standards and see and more immediately accept other white rejections of gender. Essentially, even the most...
Then how am I the problem? The woke white saviors, sometimes I struggle to even include them in the lineup for the woke TikToks because they're just so simple, right? They're just giving simpleton. They sit up here and admit to themselves and to their viewers that they are the problem, but still gaslight you into thinking that you're also the problem. He's like, I will uphold white beauty standards. Okay. Love that for you. I don't do that. I pick from a little bit of everything. I think each race has beautiful things about them. I really do. I don't think that only one race has, a monopoly on beauty. Like I pick and pull from everywhere. 31 flavors, Baskin Robbins, however many the hell they have. Like, I may dress like Chun-Li in a podcast episode because I am 1% Asian, by the way. And so, I don't know, every 99 outfits, there may be one Asian adjacent one. It's beautiful Latina. Hi, I get spray tanned. And I even have Latina in me, but I wasn't lucky enough to get the skin tone, right? Because I do believe that's a beautiful skin tone. And it's not that the white girls don't have beauty, because they do. Everyone's trying to copy their hair. Even y'all who sit up here and act like they're the devil, a lot of y'all have pieces on that look just like theirs, right? This is Indian Remy, baby. This was, we're going to hopefully believe not forcefully taken from a beautiful Indian woman. But again, I'm wearing different races on me. So guess we found Waldo. Fresh off that West Hollywood bender, right? Crack still in his veins and just letting it loose all over TikTok. Sick. All right. Tennessee tattoo shop owner goes on unhinged rant, threatens conservatives. If they come to his shop, I will actually hurt you. Says he hopes they get sick and die. You can just tell from the picture, this is one of those motherfucking, like, just such a tough guy, right? Like, such a lived out. There's nothing worse than a lived out straight man. You're the worst of all worlds. You're harnessing this, like, bitch ass, feminine, like, energy. And you're also using your, like, male aggression to, like, threaten people. It's like, you're the worst of all worlds, sir. Speaking as someone who's the best of all worlds, you're the worst of all worlds.
You gotta love it when religious conservatives and racists, which more often than not go hand in hand, come into your tattoo shop. Which, by the way, I like to keep it a little dark in here. I don't like a lot of overhead lights. Just reminds me of a hospital. If you were either one of those things, or both, you're not gonna have a good time. Not here. Okay? Take your small-minded bullshit back to your church. And then, shove a Bible.
I like
up
how
your
these
ass.
small-minded ones are the ones that have a religious conviction, which actually does require you to, in some ways, think in the abstract, right? Like, I actually think in some ways religious people are a lot more open-minded than me because I believe in what I see in right in front of me. Like, I don't believe in shit that I can't see. So they got to really stretch their mind to believe in that shit. How are you not the small-minded person that you are literally sectioning off a group of people, writing them off as intolerable? Like, you literally are closing your mind off to people and calling them the small-minded people. I would love to fight him. No shade. Like, he reminds me of, like, there is such a side to me y'all don't know. For real. He reminds me of, like, every, like, piece of shit that I would, like, beef with in my late teenage, like early 20 years out at parties. Just the arrogant, like, I'm tough because I have finger tattoos. Motherfucker. I would love to fight you. But anyways, oh my God. Tinder is full of transphobes. Let's see this monologue.
Tinder is full of transphobes. Like, I just have to believe that, because if that's not true, then it just means that I'm not nearly as pretty as I thought I was, and I physically could not handle that. I refuse to believe that I am the problem because my mental health simply could not take it. Tinder is...
So, we often talk about people who are just almost there, right? They're almost there. So you have the self-awareness to say all the right things out loud that you are the problem, right? That you know you're not attractive like that, right? So the self-awareness is coming out, but the narcissism, delusion, and general unwellness is just weighing that out. So here's the thing. The problem is you, right? That look, those curls, looking like little Chiquita bananas hanging off your head. Those curls, they're too tight. See, look at loose waves, loose waves. I don't get a little centimeter curling iron and I want little tiny waves. No. You look like Ben Franklin with that wig, those wigs they used to wear. And for you to be giving white man at all of any century is the problem, right, sis? For you to be giving white man at all, whether it's 2023, 1776, whatever year, you shouldn't be given that. This is the same person who said they got period cramps on one of the other ones reacted to. So it's not as if anything I'm saying is penetrating, but perhaps one of you who is doing this tight Chiquita banana curl can actually get something out of this. If you fall victim to this hairstyle, call the number on the screen. You are entitled to compensation and damages. My God.
Happy Pride Month. Let's talk about my pronouns. So I use...
Let's not. Moving on.
Good afternoon. If you're a Republican voter, I want you to listen real close. I sincerely hope that someone who you can't live without, who your life would fall apart if that person disappeared off the face of the earth. If you're a Republican voter, if you are a die-hard GOP voter, I sincerely hope the person you love most gets a surprise attack of diabetes.
That was a bit specific. One of y'all needs to come get your grandma. Grandma's gone goofy again. She's off them bath salts. Her hair's blue. She's wearing cheetah. And she's wishing death upon people in her car. And I know that y'all have talked about the fact that she is not capable and fit to drive. That license, I know, has been taken away for a few months. I just have to say it again. Just like earlier in the video when I said, be thankful that you are not a liberal, because this is some hate living in you that I can't relate to having that inside of me, baby. And so she's saying diabetes because it's about, things being covered by insurance or whatever. I want to know, is your life alert covered by insurance? Because frankly, you're on the cusp, and also you're already dead on the inside, right? So that death of your spirit has already occurred. And I can only imagine that due to living in this current state of disheveled hatred is probably going to lead to that actual death relatively soon. Not wishing that upon you, because I'm not you, baby. I'm not a f***ing demon. But I will advise against deciding to live with this sort of hatred in your heart, because you're just pitiful. Grandma. This is how I know your grandkids don't love you, because literally, if my grandmother logged on to any app and ran her mouth looking like this, first of all, I mean, that alone I would call like, Grandma, the blue hair and the cheetah print, it's not giving what you think it is. And as your loving grandchild, stop.
First of all, if you are a mayo monster,
you couldn't lube me up a little bit first, sis? Oh my God. Points for creativity, but
that is how your ancestors got everything from stealing.
Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it.
The Q-tip people. I think I do need a Q-tip. I will say that, because clearly I'm a little congested, because there is no way that I heard that stupid shit come out of your mouth in that distinctly unaware that it's stupid shit tone of voice as confidently as you said it. Okay, so tell me you are the result of the American public education system tell me you're the victim of the American public education system without telling me. Because for you to make a definitive statement about a group so broad and diverse as white people, that entire race for which there are a crap ton of different people under that, all with unique ancestry from different places in the world, that doesn't make sense. Another reason I've always found this talking point so bizarre is that it's said at a time in history where most people are mixed with a little bit of something other than white, even if they are white, right? So like, how exactly am I supposed to calculate the exact amount of white guilt I'm supposed to feel for white people long before I was born conquering North America? Considering, I think I'm like 40-something% white, so there's that part. But I'm also 20%, a whopping 20% Indigenous American. So they came and took the land from those people. The same thing every race does throughout history all the time, by the way. Conquer lands, forfeit lands, win lands, lose lands. Like, that's just what that is. Does the 20% Indigenous American negate 20% of the 40% of the whiteness that I'm supposed to feel guilty about? Like, let me know. Give me an equation.
Y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity.
You feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and you would never.
TVs are a necessity, apparently. Baby girl, I'm gonna need you to stay away from the TV. See, the TV has rearranged you neurologically into thinking that the shit you're believing here and saying so proudly with all your chest is true. The TV telling you things and you listening to it is why you've dwindled down to this dumb. I feel like most people, if you were to ask them, run a poll, would not agree that any individual should feel guilty or take ownership in some way over what someone else who happens to be of the same race of them is doing that's negative. So like the idea that you should take responsibility or feel bad or guilty about videos of people of your same race stealing TVs. The idea that you should feel guilty about that, that's dumb. You shouldn't. You're an individual. You're not the person stealing, right? But no one should feel guilty about what people are doing of the same skin color as them. That doesn't make sense. However, for you to so confidently think that white people, however, must feel guilt for what white people who were born and dead long before they were born have done or did do, or even are said to have done, that doesn't make sense. And it kills me how people act like history is like a Disney movie with good guys and bad guys. And, this group are the evil conquerors and this group are the poor victims. It's like, history of humanity is a very long timeline of lands being conquered, forfeited, won, lost, bloodshed, violence, peacetime, and everything in between. Good and evil is present in every group. The fact that you can only see it in one is the problem.
I am a non-binary middle school special education teacher, and only my 2 paraprofessionals know that I'm non-binary, because that's not like a conversation I want to have with.
Because they couldn't tell by looking at you? You are non-binary TM. Baby girl, baby boy, baby they. You are what they would put in the dictionary as non-binary. Synonym, demented, you. I cannot believe you're working with special needs children. I mean, that's just straight abuse. That's disgusting. As if infiltrating the regular classrooms like y'all do and psyoping these babies wasn't your big one. You got to go into the special needs class.
With parents and admin right now. Anyway, one of my students said that I was a beautiful king the other day, and that was just so affirming.
Why does it look like you got wet? What is that face? Leave the special needs babies alone. Do they not have enough problems? You just wanted to step in that door and say, hey, can I be your next problem? Like, get away from them. And I'm sorry to tell you, he did lie to you. He lied to you. In fact, he lied to you several times and told you were fly, hot, sexy, beautiful, and you're nothing like that. You're nothing of the sort.
Affirming. It gave me the gender euphoria. Have a good day.
Do you see why I don't, even when I'm joking, I'm not running my mouth? I asked, did it make you wet? And here she is, the second we hit play. It gave me that euphoria. Maybe some of y'all need to do drugs. Maybe some of y'all actually need to just go get your euphoria from drugs. Because special needs kids is just not, it's just not good. You got to stop. You got to get away. You got to get fired.
Oh, I go where I please. I will continue to go into women's restrooms, women's locker rooms, women's spaces, because I am a woman, whether you like it or not. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing Fox News can do about it. Ollie London, Ben Shapiro, Stephen Hilton, Tim Pool.
So here's the thing. First of all, we need to start talking about how, since y'all want to force this word passing on me, let's talk about it, babe. Since y'all want to imagine all the times Blaire's went on about passing, even though I actively avoid the word, we're going to use it now. We're going to have some real talk now. So because you pulled it out of me, let's stick our heads up, sit up straight, and listen in a way that is very adult-like. Right? Passing is a lot more than looks. In fact, looks are often at the bottom of the totem pole. You know how y'all talk about how I just bash everyone's looks in regards to passing? When, if you really know the situation about passing, looks actually fall very low on that list. It's about energy. It's about aggression level. It's about that spirit. And when you have this male aggression in you, too, as he's talking, he's lunging at the camera. Did y'all see that? He's like, I go where I please, and no one can stop me. Ollie London, Ben Shapiro. It's like, you're coming at, first of all, a list of men like a man, while also saying, I'm a woman. I'll go wherever I want. Ben Shapiro. I'll go in the bathroom. Huh. I mean, if that's the demeanor you walk in that bathroom with, it's not a far off imagination in my head of why women are reacting with at least a side eye, right? At least a little, whoo. Because I would. Like, that's the other conversation. Like, if you're really like a trans woman and you got that, I'm very aggressive on camera. I'm very like, but in real life, it's like I do have a very sort of like, I'm to myself, not submissive, but very like light. You know what I mean? And I'm not like, I'm going in this room. You know what I mean? But so that even if I came across this person trying to bust up in the room, I'd be like, oh, my safety is very much in jeopardy. But really, it is so much more than looks. And that's why it's also a double stupid thing when people talk about how I'm going on about passing despite never using the word. Because even if I were, how I really feel about passing is that looks is low on the bottom totem pole of what matters and what builds into that. Example, on the Jubilee debate, Jessica, who is one of the trans conservatives, You know, she talked about how she has self-awareness and she feels like she doesn't necessarily pass, but that she doesn't go to the women's restroom out of respect for them. First of all, that's amazing self-awareness, and that's also very commendable. People who put other people before them, that's just a good person in general, right? And the comments are full of people, of women. No, not of people, of women. The comments are full of women. In fact, I saw a few top comments that were like, Jessica, you can come in the women's bathroom anytime you want because you clearly are a good person and you respect women. So that's that fact that it's about energy, right? The looks matter too. We're not disregarding it. And it's assessing a threat, which is what women actually do all of the time. Women are actually, this is one of the things that I have learned. I'm not learning any of the, biological stuff in terms of periods or pregnancy or, so many other things that only biological women will go through. But one of the things that I learned about being perceived as a woman in the world, once I started walking these streets and people saw in their head a woman, I realized how every day women are doing some level of threat analysis on the men around them, and no one is immune to it. When women walk into rooms with men, they are aware of what men are in the room, on a vibe level, and they assess who's a threat, who's not, who is looking at me with sexual eyes, who's looking at me with a different type of eyes. It's just what they do. I definitely started doing it the moment the world started perceiving me as a woman, because it is palpable, that moment. Like, I felt it, I knew it, I was like, oh, this is the shift. This is the shift. Now I'm actually being treated like a woman by society, and with it comes a certain vulnerability. Is it the same level of vulnerability of women my exact, size, height, weight, but without these man hands to defend themselves a little bit better? No, it's not the same level of threat. However, it's definitely a threat. I'm 5'5", 125 pounds. Like, men are a threat to me. And I have to make assessments based on who is a threat and how big of a threat every room I go in when it comes to men. Who's trying to fuck me? Who's trying to, is disgusted by me? Who likes me? Who wants something else? It's like a thing. You got to remember, women have men that come up to them, strangers, to hit on them. And I'm not putting down men who, also that other side of the coin, have that courage to approach women, because I actually find that very honorable that you are willing to take it old school like that and approach someone in person. And I think that any woman with her salt is always going to respond with respect if you come at her with respect in that scenario, right? That's not what I'm talking about when it's a mutual, like, this is a respectable moment between a male and a female, and it's a courting thing. It's a mating thing. It's like animalistic. What I am talking about is how women have creepy men who don't come up to them with good intentions all of the time, regardless of how attractive they are. So that builds a level of distrust of men in any space. So they are doing these assessments of threat levels. And for you, sir, your threat level's 10. It's 10. Right? So since, again, Blaire only cares about passing, a word she doesn't use, but we're going to say it anyways, we'll start with the looks then. Yeah, you look 100% like a man. Not even 99, right? Like, that's just every characteristic on screen is man. But to double that and add to it with that energy is the other part that's way bigger, actually. Because many women, even if they see you making a decent effort, even if they clock that you're trans, but they see you that you're clearly making an effort and clearly have an energy that goes with the look you're trying to have, at least, and not walking into bathrooms like this, Ben Shapiro, then that's a different story. You're a threat. I see you as a threat. And I have balls. Here is one with these individuals who got hate crimed, supposedly, and they're excited about it.
Wait, okay.
Look at the person.
Another
It's
red
always
hair?
funny to just look at the
Jesus.
person before you even start.
So we just got hate crimed and I'm really excited about it. So the way that we travel is that Alice will like hang on to the back of my chair while we move. So we're like a little train. And someone fully like saw us going past and yelled out from his car, "Cripple!" And we were like, yeah! Like, it's never happened like that before. Like, I get called a fat piece of shit all the time. Alice has like all this transphobic rhetoric towards her, but like, it's never been just so blatant, and like, we're both just really chuffed that it's finally happened.
Okay, well that just says everything.
It says everything. And you can speak to this because you're of a different generation. And I can as well, but you know, this is the new trans that getting hate crime is something to celebrate and TikTok and whatever and get clout from. Do you think Matthew Shepard
thank you.
was happy about getting hate crime?
Thank you. Oh
it's
my God.
disrespectful.
I grew up I'm 60. I grew up in a time where no one cared about us. All my friends died of AIDS. They got put into a unit because they had AIDS, which was like this weird thing that no one wanted to touch us. And like, I got my ass beat by here, right down the street, by guys following me in trucks with baseball bats and kicking my ass. This is not something you want to celebrate. We work to get away from this. It's as if they want this hate crime so that they can say, look, I'm a victim. That's exactly what they're doing.
This is where society is. It's like there's actually a demand for victimhood now. There's a demand for hate crimes in people's mind because she's so excited because it justifies her entire ideology. That's right. Her ideology is built around victimhood, but she knows in her heart that it's never actually happened to her. She's never actually been a victim. She knows in her heart of hearts that she's incredibly privileged to live where she lives, but finally she got some pushback and she's like, I'm so excited. I'm going to
that's the entitlement. That's the actual entitlement of living in this space these years where all of the people before me and you fought to get us into a space where we could walk down the street without being beat up or having the words, fat and queer and whatever the heck, tranny or whatever you want to call it, spewed at us, and this person is celebrating it.
Disgusting.
Wow.
I mean, when I tell you, Buck, it's like, as we're like talking about this, I'm thinking about being in like 5th grade and having like this older high school kid like bust me in the nose because I was a kid, and just getting jumped and all the shit that I went through as a kid, and it's like the fact that this fat is so excited about being hate crime. Tell me you've never experienced hatred or violence in your life without telling me you've never experienced hatred or violence in your life. And it's disrespectful because our community, I say the word community and I try so hard to hold on to the community. I really try to, because I do have hope that someday there can be. But it was built off the backs of people who really suffered actual hate crimes, and it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
This is the picture of where
entitlement. The entitlement they don't even know they have.
I got misgendered at work on Wednesday by someone that has been corrected before, and it just hit me hard. I was 3 hours into my long shift. I don't even remember how long it was. Maybe 8 hours. My 8-hour shift. And I immediately was like, no, I need to leave. So I left. I went home. And since then, I have been spiraling, which is not a fun thing to be dealing with when you are a broke person living in New York City and need to pay rent. So I'm getting ready to go to work right now, go to my other job. I called out last night, and I'm having to talk myself into showing up today.
How broke can you be if you just have this choice to wake up every day, whether or not you want to roll up to work? It's just your choice, huh? I left work out of nowhere because someone said a word I didn't like, and then the next day I called in, and then today I'm really deciding, like, should I go to work or not? You can't be that broke. And notice how, first of all, when she said, so I got misgendered at work today, and ever since then,
I have been spiraling.
She rewind it if you need to. She smiled.
Spiraling.
Again, because I'm psychoanalyzing these people from now on, that's the real her. She's smiling about it because she could not be more lit emotionally in a positive direction. That she had something happen that she is able to hop up on TikTok and make a video about, first of all, get that content, that clout, and then also have people feel bad for her and cry for her and tell her she's such a strong warrior for going to work, looking the way she does. And there's no one on the planet who would look at you and say anything other than she. Blaire's talking about not passing again. Not a word I used. I'm just talking about reality. If I looked like Joe Jonas, despite being just as internally trans as I am, right? That gender dysphoria, that condition, whatever. Take everything inside my brain, heart, and mind. Put it in Joe Jonas's body. In what world would I have a even remotely rational reason to expect anyone to call me anything but he? That's that realism that y'all need to learn about. That's not me judging who passes and who doesn't. That's just a black and white situation, right? No nuance, right? You have a woman in a camera literally engaging in like a feminine thing. She's like looking in the mirror, telling the video, she's like, so I got misgendered at work today. And, you know, I'm spiraling. You're smiling when you're saying spiraling because you're very excited about it. And you are literally so delusional that you think anyone's calling you anything other than she as you're primping your hair, telling them a story about how someone said something that hurt your feelings. On some true woman behavior shit, right? And that's how you know she's not really trans, by the way, that she would even walk out of work in a panic over getting misgendered, even if she was really trans, and then talk about it on the internet. Because when you're really trans, one thing I will say, I want to give those true trans, those transsexuals, those people who are really suffering with gender dysphoria and really out here doing their big one every day, going to work, you know, trying to just figure it out, right? I will say about y'all are resilient as hell. You have that inner strength, that inner peace to put up with the BS that you do put up with. I'm not someone who walks through life and gets misgendered. Y'all think you're doing your big one on Twitter saying he for Blaire White. Let me know when someone ever does that in real life, right? So I don't necessarily experience that pain that a real transsexual who's really trying is still going to get called he would feel. But I know for damn sure, for her to still be around kicking, she's not breaking down because of it, not going to work because of it, not refusing to wake up, put her pants on one leg at a time and walk this world like everyone else has a right to, right? Because they have that resilience, because they've really been through shit, and you're just a clout chaser, an appropriator, right? That's how you know more than anything else this is not a trans person. Next.
It looks like he's having a nice feast. She, her.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
But it was not all good.
Hi. I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir. Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir. Yeah, I'm just going to go. Okay. The sweet water starts at... Okay.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
It's just always like a knife. It always hurts every single time. I was wondering if there's a manager I could talk to about something that happened. Yeah, I was called sir. Oh, okay. It just really sucks every time.
You're a Karen. A Darren. And I'm not even going to feel bad about saying that, because if you feel like you can step out in public with a 5 o'clock shadow covering your entire face and say, it's she, in that voice, it's she, and also somehow compartmentalize that and think that you're not the problem in the situation, you're the problem, I'm here to let you know that. So let's just wrap our little demented brains around that part. But also, this is so clearly just a loser who's never had an ounce of power in his life, who finally found an ideology that allows him to enact power on other people. And the same way that he's like, it's like a knife in the heart. Yeah, and you're really getting a kick out of putting a knife to all these employees' throats, right? These minimum wage workers at best, right? Listen, I understand this is like gonna sound a little bit hoity-toity, but I've never actually worked in a restaurant or service industry or food industry. So I've heard that they don't make shit. I've heard that it's actually like, should almost be illegal how little they make. Like, I've heard that my whole life. So if that's true, you're really turning up on a bunch of people barely making it, barely surviving because they used a word you didn't like, when the claim is that it's so painful, you would think that the action would be not putting it on camera, right? Because if something's actually that painful, and if you're actually, getting, because here's the thing. When you're trans, a trans woman, a real trans woman, it's like, he's correct in saying it is like a knife in the heart if you're going to get called he. I mean, that is like, wow. So I did all this getting called he still? Wow. But the other side to that, not the other side, the other part of that is that you also don't really want to talk about that. I promise you that's how they think. I've had a lot of trans women, real trans women friends in my life, and like I've been around them at certain times where maybe they get misgendered or whatever, and I do see the pain that they felt from that. And the way that every single one of them has coped with it is pretending like it didn't happen. I'm not kidding. So for you to put it on camera, you're very proud of it. You're very excited to go on TikTok, that little jerk off session, right? And it's transparent. And you're a bully. You're a bully. You are going and you are baiting people into a situation of offending you, right? And when I say that, part of that is the fact that you've made no effort to transition. And then you get mad at people for saying she. That's baiting them. That's baiting them. That's off-putting all of the responsibility on you to go through any transition. I'm not even going to say a successful transition. Any transition. And you are placing that responsibility that you're so scared to feel because you know you're not really trans. I don't care anymore, I can tell. I don't care anymore. I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing this game of Blaire White's judging who's trans or not. Yep, that's what she's doing now. And I don't care. This person, in my opinion, subject to be proven wrong. In some cases, this one it won't. This is not a trans person. Don't care. Be mad. Comment something angry. Get all hyped up. Don't care. And, you know, because of that, that's how I know that this is just a bully, a psychopath, trying to enact power on people because he's felt powerless his entire life. Yep.
I don't know if you saw this Blaire White nonsense where she's like, I'm old enough to remember when first names of teachers was a mystery, and now they want to share their sexuality and what their gender is.
Which is a legitimate problem. There are viral TikTok videos literally every single day, hundreds at this point, of teachers coming out to their students, telling kids about sexual orientations that are just vague and obscure and not age appropriate. This is a very known problem that's happening. And I don't feel bad about calling it out.
And I'm like, oh, sweetie, sit down and get schooled. You were born in 1998. I was born
in 93, Miss Thing.
In 1985. I was starting high school before you were even conceived.
Congratulations. We all know the older you are, the smarter you are, right? Totally. That's like a thing.
So let me tell you. I definitely remember the first names of several teachers.
Ow. Oh, you got me. Oh my God, my entire ideology is crumbling before me because you remember a first name of one of your teachers?
We totally knew them. It happens. We also knew their sexuality. They were only too happy to share their marriage status. And sometimes...
Because marriage status is totally the same thing as telling someone your sexuality. Right.
Do you want to know the trans version of the Roman Empire? It's the fact that we are in stage 7 of genocide in America for trans people.
I hate her. Blaire, that's a strong word. Okay, let me break it down. Why? So, this is another one of those examples of the trans activist who is supposedly pushing us in the right direction while gaslighting, terrifying, and lying to a group of people that is lied to that we are murdered at disproportionate rates. That is factually incorrect. To people that are already suffering from mental health issues of various forms. And you have them in a constant state of fear, you and the media who runs with this, and so easily throws out the word genocide. How dare you use that, first of all, for people who have actually been victims of that, right? There are still people alive today that survived the Holocaust and other forms of genocide or that have happened. So that's pretty disgusting, right? You're pretty nasty for that. Wild for you to throw that out so easily. All in the pursuit of fear-mongering a group of people that already suffer from mental health issues. So actually, you're a crazy abuser. You're a crazy abuser. A psychopath who is downplaying genocide to terrorize a group of people struggling with mental health issues. I mean, if anyone could break down what I'm doing and describe it in such horrific words, I mean, you're the devil. That is straight demonic, demon shit, right? I hope I'm not being too dramatic with that. I mean, I'm very into just like deeply looking at what all these people are doing lately, because it can be broken down like that. It can. 1 + 1 = 2. You are a bad person for waking up, rubbing the crust out of your eyes, putting that phone in your face and saying, that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to lie and terrify this group of people that I am also lying, that I am supporting and trying to help and push forward, by making us feel like there is an expiration date on our lives. Because who is going to want to live a prosperous life where they're going after their dreams, trying to meet their goals, trying to live a healthy, productive life when they think they're on stage 7 of a genocide? Because Little Miss Trans Appropriator said so. Not because there are actually numbers backing that up, right? And they just know exactly when to invoke that fear-mongering and use Jewish people. Whenever they want to use that word Hitler to describe the most benign Republican they encounter, they will use that Nazi word, right? Because let's not forget, George Bush was a Nazi. Mitt Romney was a Nazi, who is now a cucked out Dem. You know, John McCain was a Nazi. And then they want us to believe that Trump was actually the Nazi. He was actually Hitler. We were kind of joking every other time. This one is. Okay, so that's the psychopath who cried Hitler.
But that has never stopped white people from walking side by side and holding hands. My video is actually more for white people, actually. This is a serious question, and I would like a serious answer in my comment section or a stitch. Are y'all aware that y'all often take up space with disregard for the people of color around you? If there's any confusion, I can give you guys an example. I'm from New York City. Sometimes a sidewalk is narrow to the point where there's only enough room for two modes of traffic. But that has never stopped white people from walking side by side and holding hands.
So, you know, this video, just like a few of the others, really epitomize how miserable these people are, right? See, they're playing the role of Good Samaritan, doing the work, you know, trying to fight the good fight. But in reality, they are miserable people who walk through the world seeing misery, hatred, darkness, and negativity in everything, right? The fact that they bring up examples like white people holding hands. Tell me you're just not upset that you don't have someone's hand to hold without telling me. The fact that you feel attacked by people holding hands around you, right, is very indicative of how miserable you are. And that ideology has convinced you that this is a positive thing for you to see in the world, when in fact it's a negative. There are enough tragedies in the world, enough negative things, enough actual violence, enough actual hate, enough actual war, that you don't have to see something bad in people holding hands. The other girl doesn't have to see something bad in people saying good morning to her. The other one sees something negative in a white person being brought around them at all into their friend group. As if that's not an opportunity to make a new friend, to build a bridge. Wild concept. As if that's not an opportunity to say good morning back to someone, say something nice and brighten their day because they clearly try to brighten yours. I mean, wow. You're like one of those people going through the sand with the little machine looking for gold, buried treasure. But your little machine just sees hate in everywhere that it's not. Oh, this one's demented. If y'all aren't aware, there's a new program with Lyft to match up non-binary and trans drivers with women and other non-binary and trans passengers. And it's going about as well as you expect, or at least I would expect, because again, when you're ahead of the curve, you can just see train wrecks coming, and this is a train wreck.
Hi, I'm Davey, and this is Maxine, and we have been driving with Lyft for over 6 years.
You just named your car? That is the manliest thing you could have done. Start out the video, this is Maxine. Wow. The man really jumped out, and then he jumped back in.
And Maxine and I are getting ready to go out driving tonight, but we're going to try something new for the first time in those 6 years. We're going to turn on the Women Plus Connect feature. Women Plus Connect is a feature that matches women and non-binary drivers with more women and non-binary riders. Women Plus Connect gives women and non-binary drivers the option to turn on a preference that will prioritize matches with other nearby women and non-binary riders. Women Plus Connect first launched in September of last year in select early access cities, but now they're expanding it nationwide. I'm so excited. This feature offers more control over the driving experience for women and non-binary people, allowing them to feel more confident in the car. All right, Time to get driving.
Imagine he just hits somebody before the camera goes off. Fools a Caitlyn. Sorry, Kate. Listen, why can't it just be a woman connect? Like, why is it women and non-binary? Like, is there an option for a woman to just connect with women drivers? Or I guess that would be a problem because then y'all want to confirm that they're women. This is sick. And listen, what exactly makes you a safer option for women to be in the presence of? Because the Party City wig isn't really feeling that safe to me. If that's the one thing, oh no, this isn't a man picking you up. It's a man in a wig. Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand. And I always say this, the biggest disconnect with me and all these trans people, you know, how trans just means Party City wig now, right? The biggest disconnect is like, they never have the respect and understanding of women's safety, right? They have no actual understanding because I would feel so incredibly unsafe being in the car with this person. And I am not a biological woman. I would feel incredibly unsafe. And considering the entire process here for you to signing up for the non-binary woman connect feature on this app, right, is putting the wig on. What about that is safer? Like someone can't harm a woman if they're wearing a wig? Is that really how y'all think? I genuinely think it is. I genuinely think that y'all, again, I was talking earlier in the show how about a lot of people never been through shit, right? If you've never been through shit, you might be, you know, your defenses might be lower when you see a wig. For me, rideshare has always actually been terrifying. Like, I refuse to ever get Ubers and Lyfts at night. I know that's hard because that's the time when you really want to use it, when you're out drinking or turning up or whatever. But for me, it's like someone's taking me home, baby. Someone I know. I'm not getting in a strange car with a man. And I've always found it weird that that's just so normalized, right? Like, again, a lot of y'all never been through shit. So getting in a strange man's car, wig or not, is not going to seem like something that may be threatening your immediate safety. But, girl, you still got a dick. So what's the wig? What's the wig got to do with it? What does the wig have to do with it? And you know what? I have to lib out for a second. Can I lib out? Can I be a feminazi for a second? I find it offensive and disgusting that there actually is a meaningful conversation happening between women right now about ride shares and how scary they can be. I see women talking about it all the time online about how they were almost sex trafficked or the driver was really sketchy. I've had drivers hit on me. I've had drivers make very inappropriate statements, you know, trying to become friends or hook up after the, you know, asking for my number, like really inappropriate shit. And it's really scary. There's a real conversation happening about women and safety in rideshare. And Lyft's response is, oh, we'll just connect them with men who put on wigs. That's the solution. Oh, thank God Lyft fixed it, right?
Don't you see this as a way to just demonize men?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, that's why I said, like, let me lib out for a second. Like, men are often a problem and women have issues with ride shares. I've had these issues before. And it's like, you probably haven't experienced anything like that. Obviously you haven't because you're a man, but it's like, this is a real problem. And the fact that it's being addressed like this is sick. It's actually sick. And it's just like, when you know, right? And it's like, the reason why I know is because I'm actually trans, which means I actually transitioned, which means I get preyed upon by creepy men. This person has no concept of that. Party City wig. You don't because you're just a man. And I'm glad you never had that happen. I don't wish it for you, but I don't wish it for women. So the idea that the solution to that problem is we won't pair you with men anymore. We'll pair you with men with wigs on. Like, are you... That's just how I feel. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
A reminder that unless someone tells you their gender, you literally have no way of telling.
Here's your reminder. Your teeth should not be as vibrant as your hair.
And yes, that includes your own children. I don't care how young they are.
That's just y'all's slogan, huh? Talk about the quiet part out loud. Wow. I mean, that's y'all in a nutshell, right? Y'all just don't care how young they are. Girl, shut the fuck up. There's literally no way of telling. Are you sure? Because that little bitching rant you did really gave woman to me, right? Like, it might have been a clue. Because I feel like my wife just bitched at me. I feel like I just woke up to my wife from hell. Didn't brush her teeth and just started going off, popping off about nothing, making no sense. I feel like my wife just bitched at me. You brought the man out of me. And you want to say that gender ain't shit. You ain't shit.
I'm so glad someone's finally asking this question. My problem is that I'm too hot, too successful in my career. I make too much money. I have too many amazing friends and family, too many cute clothes. Do you know how hard it is to choose an outfit each day?
Listen, werewolf tits. I don't know what I just watched. I don't know what I just smoked, because I thought that I smoked what I knew I had, but surely it's something else. And, you know, she didn't really say too much of anything political that I would agree with or drag her on. And so I really do have to just say, wherever you're going in life, werewolf tits, I hope you find what you're looking for.
It's getting weird.
I'm a doctor, and apparently the state of Texas needs to reconsider what it considers child abuse. Because you know what's abusive? Ignoring the needs of your child when your child is telling you what they need. And engaging in behavior as a parent that could lead them to unalive themselves. Over 80% of trans youth have admitted to having thoughts about unaliving themselves, and over 50% have actually attempted it.
I mean, that's really scary. I've actually never had one until now. Talking about we need to reestablish what we think of as abuse. We need to reestablish what we think of as doctors, because if I walked in the ER, I'm talking like a sprained ankle. It could be minor. I would run to the hills. Iron Maiden from this. And yet she's cutting kids off. Y'all are trusting rainbow hair with your child's genitals and letting her gaslight you into thinking it's abusive not to remove them. Beyond. I'm not saying that every doctor should be in like impeccable shape, right? Like, I don't need to see necessarily a doctor with a six-pack and glowing, you know what I mean? But like, there's also levels to it, right? Like, she shouldn't also be decrepit like this. This is straight decrepit. And if she didn't have that color in her hair, and if it was just that one-tone gray, which you know it is underneath, this would be a corpse telling you to abuse your children, otherwise known as a straight demon, because a corpse shouldn't speak. A corpse should sit there and be silent. And here you are running your mouth. That mouth is abusive.
Hey, is it okay if I touch you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what are your pronouns?
They, them.
She, they. I'm glad we exchanged those.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad that you came in today.
So I'm okay if I touch you.
Go right ahead.
And what are your pronouns?
He, him.
She, her. Thanks
Shocking.
for asking earlier. Okay, so
This is too much talking for me for a hair appointment. What are your pronouns? What's your problem? Better question. What's your problem? Way too much talking for me. And how do you expect to cut the hair without touching it, babe? Are we using gravitational waves like they did the fucking pyramids? Like, I don't understand. I don't think there's ever been a better time to reach over, grab a little little dollar bill, and put it in the Blaire White was right jar. Preferably this one. Hi. Because this is what I've been saying all along, and there's not a better example that I've seen in a long time. That this obsession, this weirdo fixation that y'all have on pronouns out there in the world is clearly so much less about trans at this point that it's almost irrelevant. It's way more to do with y'all needing a goddamn personality, and you're not even trans. This is a bunch of non-trans liberals participating in this weirdo ritual because that's what they want to do. Like, if I was in the chair and Miss Thing asked me my pronouns, I'm taking that as an insult. So that's how you know this is not geared towards the like acceptance or to make trans people feel safe, because I would be a little bit shook. Girl, if you don't shut the fuck up and just cut that damn hair, truly, do the thing I paid you for, sis. Because interrogating me about my gender is something I would find offensive. And I'm trans, so we're doing this for you, narcissist. You're doing this for you, narcissist. You're not helping anybody. I see through you. Is that scary? Oh God, here's another one. They always look, they haven't gotten a drop of sun in like a decade, right? You can just see the veins in there. Like, not that pale can't be beautiful, because it can, but it's when it's because that's your real skin tone and not, I haven't been outside in a decade, but let me tell you about the world and how it should work, even though I haven't been in the world for a decade, right? Parts preferences are transphobic because attraction is not based on what parts you have. Oh, another one of these diddlers. Let's see.
Parts preferences are transphobic because attraction is not based on what parts you have. We all feel attraction well before we know what parts someone has. You're not going around asking Tinder matches what parts they have. Also, I find parts preferences are transphobic because most people assume that a certain type of smex has to be happening with certain parts. You're like, oh,
Shut the fuck up. First of all, I think a lot of people are asking people on dating apps what they have in their pants because of the current year we're in. Second of all, maybe for you, attraction isn't based on parts. Guess what? I like dick. I like it. Like that. And when I say dick, I mean the kind that you're born with. Right? Not the kind that you like cut a chunk off your leg and then attach it. Like, no. Right? And there's no disrespect that if you've gotten that surgery and you're happy, that doesn't mean I want it in me or around me. I'm here for dick. Penis. And you could look like the hottest man on the planet. You tell me you have something else down there, I'm going to go into a deep depression, first of all. But second of all, that would instantly deplete my attraction to you by at least 95%. By at least. I could still appreciate that everything else looks awesome, but that doesn't mean I want to eat it. That doesn't mean I want to eat what you have. And the gagas, there's plenty of people that do want to eat what you have, so keep it pushing, right? There's plenty of people that want everything I have. And I go with those people, right? I don't try to convince people who don't want anything and everything I have to want what I have, because that's demented. That's not how sexuality works. And y'all are so capable of understanding this spectrum, this wide variety of sexualities. Y'all are so nuanced in your thinking, and I use that word lightly, thinking, that you can differentiate between pansexual and bisexual, even though they're functionally the same exact thing. Demi-boy, demi-girl, astrosexual, gynosexual. Like, you can understand all those nuanced sexualities, but you can't fathom that someone might have a sexuality based on them liking dick. That's just too far, right? That's just like, doesn't make any sense, right? I like dick. And that's not going to change. Not for you. Or anyone you roll with. So go away. So demented. So demented. Yes, some people have preferences. My God.
Here's your reminder that fat phobia is rooted in racism. As always, if you haven't read this book, go do that.
I'm not.
The main thing to understand is that for the last 300-ish years, white folks have been marketing fatness as a black trait.
Are you stupid, girl? Okay, I'm pretty sure I've seen this one before. This one went pretty viral. It's like, y'all will really just say anything, huh? See, this is one of my main issues with this group is they try to make being fat some sort of like minority group, and they try to compare racism, homophobia, transphobia to like being discriminated against because you're fat. And granted, I'm sure there are absolutely situations in which someone is going to be discriminated against because they're fat. But to act as if a choice for most people, which is eating yourself into this state, I'm saying most, some people are definitely obese for other reasons, but to compare like people who choose to not move and eat a lot to being born black or being born gay, etc. It's like, you have some damn nerve, girl. You have nerve. Why do they always have blue hair? Remember when like multicolored hair was for cool people?
Fat phobia survives through intergenerational trauma. It causes parents to look at their children and say, your life would be better if your body was different. We try to reach through generations to save each other from the pain of exclusion, of bigotry, of discrimination. And in turn, we become the gatekeepers, deciding which
She is so serious, huh?
Which are not. Making children aware that their bodies are a cause for concern.
Okay, but like being obese shouldn't be acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable for yourself if you are obese. You should want to change. This is the problem. It's like they're acting like they're arguing for skin tone or sexual orientation to be acceptable.
Making children aware that their bodies are a cause for concern and are being watched closely. We experience weight cycling as we attempt to become smaller over and over again, and we think, if I could just teach my child good habits, that sugar is bad and exercise is mandatory and checking in with your body is unnecessary. Actually, what we are teaching them is disordered eating, weight stigma, the body hierarchy, and a complete disconnection from and distrust of our bodies. We learn to fear fat, and we gift that to them as if it will protect them.
You should fear being fat. And it should protect your child to let them know it's unhealthy to be fat. Why would anyone want their child to live a third of how long they could live? Like, it's like, do they understand people die being this way? Do you understand you're not going to exist at that weight at 55, 60, 70 years old? Like, there are no obese 70-year-olds because they don't live that long. Oh, here's this trick.
Today's pronouns of the day are TV static. Okay, now I know you must be like, what in the world is this person talking about? What? TV static pronouns? Well, yes, these are actually neo-pronouns. So here's how you would use TV, TVs, and here's how you would use static, statics. It's just like if someone were to use he, they, or she, they, you use both she, her pronouns and they, them pronouns. So it's just the same kind of thing, just with two neo-pronouns. Why would someone want to use this? Sometimes neo-pronouns can represent how a person is feeling, maybe within gender, because gender doesn't feel good to everybody out in this world. So maybe their gender feels like static. Maybe it's because someone's feeling stuck, maybe because they can't feel like they can open up to people and come out to people. You never know.
And maybe people who feel that way should be helped out of that, not encouraged to identify as static, right? Right? Y'all are so fucking diseased for letting this little girl run amok like this. Where are the real ass people in this fucking community? I know there's a few others besides me, but goddamn. Are we that outnumbered that she is not just getting dragged off the internet by actual trans people, actual gay people, actual whatever? Bring back hobbies. This little girl needs to go create some art or something, because creating shit on TikTok is just not the best use of your time, baby girl. Like, I don't even know what to say. And here's the gag of it, right? If you're a loser, you look at content like this and be like, well, doesn't affect me. Well, you know, if people want to do what they want to do, I don't know. Well, you know what? I agree people should do what they want to do. But when you're spreading this kind of bullshit and you're making it some sort of declaration within the trans community, somehow conflating this with being trans, that's when I have an issue. I have an issue, baby, with you. Oh my God.
How many people were scared? Me too. I was really, really scared.
This is my sleep paralysis demon. Right? Okay.
One thing about me, I'm gonna have boy breakfast, and then I'm gonna have non-binary lunch, and then I'm gonna have girl dinner all on the same day. And between that, I might have a little gender snack. Done. My 3 balanced meals.
That will definitely show up in my nightmares tonight. This is not the last time I'll see this person's face. Right? I've now blocked them, so it won't be on my screen, but it will be up here. Like, this image is not disappearing from my brain anytime soon. Wow.
Race is a human invention or construct created specifically to justify the colonization, displacement, and dehumanization of anyone deemed subhuman by European colonizers. We are categorized according to race, or racialized. Science shows us that race is not biological or genetic, and history shows us that race was invented and reinforced over the past 600 years, a subject.
Y'all will just say anything. Can we talk about your references here? Chapter 5 of an untitled book that says get smarter about racism, and all the other text is blurred out. That's your evidence. Those are your receipts. And I have to say, Apparently her name is Blaire Amani. You are bringing disgrace to the name Blaire. Blaire is a beautiful name. Do not play with my name. When's the last time you even heard of a bitch named Blaire? Only a few select icons in history are named Blaire. We're talking Blaire White. We're talking Blaire from Gossip Girl. We're talking the Blair Witch Project. She was a demon, but she created a genre, baby. Just like me. Not the demon part, but the creating a genre part, you know. Y'all are so hung up on social constructs. It's your favorite term. Such and such is socially constructed, therefore it doesn't matter. As if something socially constructed is not actually constructed by nature as well. You're also very self-centered. So the entire concept of race was invented just to subjugate you, to demonize people who you think look like you. I mean, that's a level of self-centered narcissism that it's almost as mind-blowing as you having the name Blaire. And trust me, I'm fried about that.
Once a month, trans women will experience what is known as a period. Some astute viewers might notice that most trans women don't have a uterus, let alone an ovaries or anything along the lines of that. But that doesn't change the fact that they are experiencing a period. There is one of three things at work here, and two of them are the same. The main one is they're experiencing...
I hate y'all. I really do. I really do. Listen, Blunt Bang. I don't know who lied to you that Blunt Bang was working for you or cute or hitting on anything that I would describe as attractive or special. So if we could address that first, but now let's address what's really going on here. You're constipated. You gotta take a shit. What you're experiencing is constipation. We got X-Lax. We got Fleet. We got milk of magnesia. We got fiber. But what we don't got is periods. And if you are experiencing bleeding out of any holes at any time, I do suggest you get that checked. Get that checked. But my guess is you just really got to take a big ass dump. And as a result, you're taking a big ass dump on the reputation of trans people. There's enough problems. Sometimes you got to read the room, right? We just had a cross-dresser in Planet Fitness. And this stuck on stupid Blunt Bang trick said, now's my time. Let me get on to educate them about periods. Sick. Please open the mental wards back up. Clearly, we should not have shut those hoes down.
Blaire White is another one of those ultra privileged trans people that I will never understand.
How am I privileged? No, really, like this is what I get launched a lot at me. How? So let's see. I grew up with an entire family on drugs. I grew up in pretty much poverty. I wasn't dirt poor, but I didn't have any extra money. My dad died when I was a kid. I was raped the same year my dad died as a kid. I support myself entirely. I funded my own transition entirely through my own work. Didn't have a handout from a single person my entire life. And I'm still working to this day to support just me and the people that I love. So where's the privilege? I guess what they mean is that, like, I'm not ugly. I don't look like a beast. Well, that's also through hard work. So I don't understand what the issue is.
Because she hasn't struggled like most of us trans people have struggled. And so she just doesn't fully understand or get.
How are you so comfortable making that statement? You don't know me. Like, imagine making the statement that someone hasn't struggled and you don't even know the person. I've been pretty open about all my struggles on my channel. I've talked about, how my gender dysphoria was so bad before I transitioned I couldn't even leave the house. I've talked about depression. I've talked about family issues. I've talked about being raped. Like, girl.
Got it. She has a lot of really problematic views, and why I think she's worse than Caitlyn Jenner is because she spreads misinformation, like literally fake news.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little test here. We're gonna see if this person, whose name is Rosalind, gives a single example of me spreading fake news, my problematic opinions. What I'm guessing is she's gonna skate right past it.
But she also, just has like really strong opinions that are very transphobic, that are very problematic, that are very racist, that are very ableist, and that are very classist. And
is there an example? I don't think there's an example.
I can't get behind her. I don't recommend looking her up. I haven't even watched a full video of hers at all.
And there you have it. How do you sit up on TikTok talking about anyone spreading false information?
saying things about me without ever watching a video. See, how are you so confident that none of the information you're spreading, Miss Thing, is not fake news, problematic, misinformed, a lie, when you've never watched a video? How does that make any sense in your head?
I just, know enough about her to know that I, think that she's the worst representation of what a trans person can be.
Thank God you're here to be the good representation of trans people, talking about shit you have no idea about, talking about a person you have no clue about. Thank God.
I'm seeing a lot of queer white people posting shit like posting themselves being really happy and doing some random shit and being like, yeah, our joy is resistance. And like, in my opinion, white people's joy is not resistance. Like, queer or not, your joy is not resistance. Matter of fact, your joy is what got us here in the first place. Like, your joy is why we're having to resist. And like, y'all putting yourselves and finding yourselves and like your own joy in front of everybody else is what got us here. Like, literally, I'm seeing so many white people right now going on like organizer retreats and posting about their joy and how awesome it was. Honestly, I want to see more of y'all like sitting your ass at home and giving your money to black and brown people so they can do that shit.
Oh, bye. Oh, my brain cells were just leaving. Hold on. Bye. Didn't I just say that the thing that racial activists now oppose is happiness, joy, speaking, races getting along, people not being miserable? This is the most unhealthy person. And you see the oppression Olympics, right? That totem pole, the white queer people are below like queer people who aren't white. It's like that totem pole, that ladder they think is leading them to heaven when it's actually taking them to hell, right? And that's a self-created hell. I'm not even talking about how you're going to burn in actual hell with Satan, right? Like maybe, probably. But aside from that, you're choosing to live in hell on earth. Being offended and upset when you see joy. That's sad. But call that your own poor mental health, not anyone else's problem. Wokeness destroys the mind, body, and soul. That's the description of this. Let's see.
Two things to know. I'm non-binary, I go by they, them, and I work in a store that is pretty much all women. So whenever they're like addressing us or when they're talking, they're always like, hey ladies. So I've taken it upon myself as someone that is non-binary to use this to not listen. And whenever anyone addresses a group as ladies, I am not included. So when they say, hey ladies, let's like stop talking, or hey ladies, let's like get to work, I will do none of it because you're not talking to me. You're not talking to me. You're not talking to me. So
y'all remember that news story from the other week about how people don't hire non-binary people? You're why. You are why. You're the reason. Who would ever want someone like this working in their place of establishment where they're trying to do something as simple as call over a group of one or more people and they get purposely ignored because you're just so disgusted by the word ladies, by the fact that you're rolling up to work with a full face of makeup in your nicest pinstripe top, right? With that orange hair. In what world, going back to the last one, is this the same as me? In what world? This one? No, not this one. Check the next one, because it's not this one.
This is a special PSA for anyone who's raising a white daughter. Please stop gassing your white daughters up to be mothers. Stop telling them that it is their destiny and their birthright to one day be a mother, or they will one day be a parent. If they want to, cool, but stop making them feel like that's their birthright, because they often grow up feeling entitled to children.
Okay. You know, I've never in my spare time looked up the definition of birthright, but I would assume it has a little something to do with something that you were able to do specifically because of the way that you were born, right? So as a woman, I would say that giving birth, the thing that only women can do, it's birthright. God bless all the women struggling with infertility, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's like the definition of a birthright. I actually can't imagine more of a birthright? Especially coming from the people who say things like trans women and women's sports, participating in sports is a birthright. Nuts. Also, for you to be so sick to reduce that to just white people, as if you're not just casually throwing out there which, race you want to breed less. Oh yeah, but don't worry, black people can't be racist. Despite making a video about another race telling them to stop breeding and to stop telling their children to breed. I mean, you are racist as shit, right? I mean, wow. I thought Blossom was bad. I genuinely think not even that race-obsessed Blossom would say this. And the background noise of all of this that makes it so much more demented is this is a teacher in a classroom teaching kids. I mean, I can't.
She said her black friend's mom won't allow her to go over her white friend's house.
First off, it's not racism. I probably wouldn't address it the same way as this black mom, but I definitely understand. And see, that's the problem. Y'all don't want to teach critical race theory because y'all don't want to understand. It was easy for you to just get on the internet and call it racism because you didn't even know what racism is. The reason why I have some type of apprehension about letting my child come over to your home, because you probably have not taught your child right from wrong. Your moral compass is kind of thrown off. I don't know if it's a white man laying around the house. I don't know if she got a big brother named Billy, and he might be wondering.
Some of us in life manage to live out this entire experience on this planet with our head in the dirt and never really make an attempt to pull it out, see what's on the surface, right? This woman is a very clear example. I mean, you are exactly what's wrong with society, man. First of all, if you do not have a immediate, sad reaction, for me, I feel like you're kind of a demon if you look at this little girl crying that she can't go to her black friend's house because her black friend's mother is racist. Yes, it is racist. Sorry. And you don't have a sadness that fills you like, wow, look where society is. And you immediately go to excusing it. You're a racist. And I mean, what a sad existence. You're just pitiful. That's really some pitiful shit. You are really sad. And this is why y'all need to stop calling them progressives and call them what they are, which is regressives, right? If there is a movement for holding, black only graduations, people of color only graduations, separating them from the white kids and calling that anything but segregation, POC only spaces. If you're on the side of my child can't go to a white person's home, and it's sad to think that we'll have to undo all this other shit, right? Y'all just creating more racism from a different perspective. Oh, another Kellyanne. This is for all white people. Let's see.
This is for all the white people who are triggered by the term white privilege. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that a person born into poverty has the same access to opportunities as a person born into incredible wealth? Okay? And you probably know where I'm going with this. So the thing I'm going to say to you is look me in the eyes and tell me that you think that a child born into immense poverty has the same access to education, life experience, and outcome as a child born into incredible wealth.
So, what you need to know about the woke white saviors is that they always tell on themselves. She just sorted all white people into a camp of being born into wealth and all black people into a camp of being born into destitute poverty. And she thinks that's a remotely accurate analogy to make. And she thinks she's really doing her big one by making you think about it and really owning you, right? She really thinks she's an intellectual heavyweight right now. you're a heavyweight, but not intellectually. Right? And if you put some of that energy into something that mattered, you'd be in a better place. But they always tell themselves how they actually feel about Black people. So you bring up voter ID and they'll be so against it because they genuinely think that people of color are not capable of figuring out how to get an ID. That's what they think of you. Right? I would, as a person of many colors, count the shades. Because y'all know I mix with about everything. I would so much rather someone tell me to my face that they are disgusted by any one of those colors than play this game of like, Blaire was born into destitute poverty because she's a person of color. Really? No. Her soul is also compromised. And you can see with those glasses, she thinks they're shields. She thinks these big ass glasses are, first of all, making her seem smart. This is the go-to for these intellectual heavyweight ass hoes that are really just weighing heavy. But because she has her, I want you guys to think about something. Listen to me, white people. No. That color within me is saying no. Oh my God. Y'all swear you live in an anime. Tempest. What kind of stupid ass name? Tempest. See, what y'all don't talk enough about is these trans guys, right? That don't actually transition, but these trans men. They literally just watch like gay anime. And they construct their idea of manhood. That's how absent men are right now in the family unit. That their idea of manhood is the gay anime they watched. Tempest. Girl, shut the fuck up.
Honestly, don't know what to do, but like, there was like a really bad experience. Basically, I was just getting a drink at the bar and they called both Azul and I ladies. After they were done making the drink, I went up and I was like, some people don't refer to themselves as ladies, but it's okay that you didn't know. And in a gay bar, so I should feel safe. Too bad, turned it around. They got so mad at me and they took the drink away from my wife and I. He hit the block.
Step 1. You just referred to your partner that you were so upset about being called she as your wife. That's that on that. Not even going to elaborate on how stupid that is. But this is a you problem, babe. This is the same TikToker who's made a bunch of TikToks talking about how to use bunny self-pronouns, how to use frog self-pronouns. So you're so open about pronouns that you can invent all these bullshit ones, but someone uses the 50% most common one for which they've probably had a 100% success rate in not offending people by using in their lifetime. And you're breaking down, having a mental breakdown on camera on TikTok as if that's not a you problem, baby girl. This is very sad. This is very sad, right? And the fact that you said, I'm in a gay bar, it's supposed to feel safe. Little girl, gay bars are about the least safe place you can go. My most ratchet of ratchet nights have been in gay bars. It definitely ain't a safe space. I think the last time I was at a gay bar, a man walked up to me wearing a leather leash and asked me for my socks. And the crazy part is, you're still more demented than him. You're still more cuckoo than him. Right? Because at least he knows what's going on. He has a goal. a target to hit and he knows what he wants and where he's going. You're stuck on stupid, all confused, right? Which isn't your fault. I mean, there's clearly some other things going on, but I'm sorry, my empathy for the whole, like, clearly has other things going on thing has run out, because y'all won't ever identify those other things going on, and you say you're trans, and then bitches like me get caught up in your bad look. And the gag is, even without demented little puppies like you giving the trans community a crazy look in public, there's enough things that give us a bad look that are real or within the community y'all haven't even gotten to yet. Problems I would like to actually fix. So if we could sort through these demented hoes and get to these demented problems and fix the real, that would be great. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like people think the problem in the trans community is little puppies like this, little pup selves like this, going to gay bars and then having mental breakdowns on TikTok. She's not even in the trans community. She just says she is. She's appropriating a medical condition. There's a whole other list of things we got to address, even with those people that don't get tended to because of girls like this. And I said girls because you're wearing an orange sundress, crying in public about being called she.
Tired of white cis women being more dedicated to being called a healer than actually doing the work to be a healer. The only thing that you're worried about healing is your bruised ego.
So you're tired. Imagine how tired we are. Exhausted. This looks exhausting. This is just misery. Misery is all I see. She's weathered. She's wilted. I'm actually starting to feel bad for her. I am.
Being confronted with your complacency in genocide and your obsession with upholding privilege. We do not need more nice white women. Are you kidding me? And stop asking marginalized people to do the work for you because you don't feel comfortable with it.
What are you even talking about? What language is this? What fucking language is this, sis? My God. Can somebody get this bitch as Annex? A little CBD. We'll even take some ashwagandha on deck. Like, she needs something. She needs something. People like this will never realize that they are the ones that perpetuate the hate they claim to be fighting. You have become the monster you are claiming to fight. I have never seen a more hateful person. People like this will also never understand that they are just doing a different version of that KKK motherfucker. You have found a group to blame. You have found a group to hate, which is nice women. And the saddest part is that your justification for it is that they're nice. And that has led you to, you guys need to stop being nice. Bitch, you need a drop of that niceness, because let's not forget, it's still giving white woman. It's still giving white woman. The white woman jumped out and then she jumped back in, because also ain't no man talking like this. And the reason why this person hates white women so much is because that's what you're running from. There's a white woman inside of you and you're running. There's absolutely a Karen living up in that bitch. And you're running. She's a runner. She's a track star. From that white woman living inside of her. I can't help but note that part of the, characteristics of people who, when I look at them, I don't see a trans person, usually on that lineup is that they're running from the hate, whatever they're transitioning from. Like all these trans women and trans people who just hate men. Trans men who just hate white women. It's like, bitch, I don't hate men. I love men, right? Just because I was born a man doesn't mean I hate what that is, right? Like it just wasn't right for me. Like you are clearly running from that white woman. What you need to do is take a nice, long, warm shower, go sit in front of that mirror and hug that white woman inside of you. Say, white woman, it's okay. We're going to be okay. But calm the fuck down because you're stressing me out.
Misgendering.
Misgendering is incorrectly referring to a person's gender by incorrectly assuming their gender identity or using incorrect pronouns.
It doesn't matter if your misgendering is intentional or accidental. What it really is harmful, disrespectful, and exhausting.
We can fight misgendering by remembering that we cannot and should not be assuming anyone's gender.
Our assumptions are not what define others' realities.
So it doesn't matter the intention. This is the world they live in. It doesn't matter if you actually tried to harm them. It didn't matter if it was intentional, accidental. You are just as much of a, heretic, a sinner. I mean, that's just a sick way to live. And I can see that it's exhausting. You look quite sleepy, right? You're asleep. Y'all call yourselves woke, but you're very much asleep, right? Wake up. And going back to that call me shit, let's look at this study right here. Let me find this. 44% of millennials think referring to someone by the wrong gender should be a criminal offense. That's how much y'all have been, like I just said to this other trick, demoralized. That you are willing to give up speech rights as liberals. Y'all are willing to sell freedom and humanity and truth down the river because you don't want your feelings hurt. That's sick. And I don't care how offensive this sounds. Sometimes y'all need just like a swift boot in your ass. If you're getting misgendered everywhere you go, 99% of the time, it's your fault. It's your fault for having expectations that don't line up with how you're actually showing up in the world, right? And again, this is because 99% of the time, it is accidental. I know y'all are narcissists, so you think everyone's thinking about you at all times, but most people really aren't thinking about you, babe. I promise you the most humbling thing you come to the realization of as an adult is that people don't really think about you that much. Ain't nobody going through their mind spinning, what do I call this person? It's instinctual. And it's based on how you look on an instinctual level. Not saying people don't intentionally try to, hurt people they think might be trans, of course. But at the end of the day, like, I'm one of the most public trans people on the planet. Most places I go, especially here in Austin, Texas, like, people kind of know who I am. Not everyone, obviously. I'm not fucking Beyonce, but usually at any establishment I go to, there's like one person who's like, Blaire. Everyone kind of knows I'm trans, whether you're clocking me or not, because I'm publicly a famous trans person. Guess who doesn't go around getting misgendered? And that's not me bragging. That's me showing up in the world a specific way. So if you're not doing that, tough shit. Get it together. Sometimes things are in your control, right? And that should make you happy. That should be good news. Oh, it's in my control. I can fix it. But y'all don't want to fix your problems. You live in your problems. You live in darkness. You live in that misery. But not everyone does. And I know y'all hate being told to work, right? You hate it. But transition is work. It's more than a Party City wig. It's a very specific life when you are a transsexual who transitions. It involves a lot of work. And as your payoff, you're going to walk into Target, CVS, right? Party City, the bar, wherever. And people are going to see you for the internal self that you are truly bringing out. But when you're just an entitled simpleton who thinks that you can walk in somewhere with a Party City wig and or a beard and still be called she, and then to you, there's just no difference between, intention has no bearing. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. And how you're navigating the world clearly isn't working. But sometimes you take things in your own hands. But that's if you're a creator, right? And we can get back to who's a creator and who's not, right? They're clearly replicators, right? They're replicating the life of people who created a life before them. They saw trans people transition in the past, which is inherently a creation, whether you would agree with it or not. Like me changing my entire presence, my name, all that, that's creating something new. And you can disagree that that's a right thing, a moral thing, or whatever thing. But back in the day, it was a thing. You created a life. Y'all want to live in the shadow of people who created and just imitate, but not take on any of the work. And that's what the real disconnect is. And y'all can sit in that misery, or you can nut up. I know you still have them because you don't believe in transitioning. Use those nuts and work.
People want to say that I don't experience PMS symptoms, but I've been cramping incredibly bad all day, and at some point my pain tolerance went away and it started hurting incredibly bad for the last 2 hours, so much so that it made me go and throw up 3 times.
Milk of magnesia, babe. Get a douche. A little fleet, what's it called? The fleet enema. You just have to poop. And you are subjecting the internet to hearing about how bad you can't poop. There are solutions to this. Constipation it's a species-long problem. We've always had that kind of issue, but there are some fixes, babe. Milk of magnesia. Postmates it. You don't got to go in the store anymore. It can come right to your house. Don't make eye contact with the delivery driver though. Have them drop it off on the door. Don't do the whole like, hand it to me. No one wants to hand you milk or magnesia, but you really do just need to take a shit. You're not having a period.